informed with Pacific Mornings.
Kia ora, welcome back to Pacific Mornings. I'm your guest host, Ala Vailala. It's currently 36 past 8. Now, it's meant to be a moment of unity. 60 years since the Cook Islands became self-governing and free association with New Zealand, but this year's Constitution celebrations will go ahead without Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, Foreign Minister Vavasa Manaya Winsett Peters, or any other New Zealand government minister in attendance. Joining us to unpack what's going on and what this major diplomatic snub means for Cook Islands and New Zealand relations are Green MP Teanau Tuiono and former National Party candidate for Te Atatu, Angie Nicholas. Kia ora, welcome to the show. It's great to have you both on this morning.
Thanks for having us, Ala.
Always good to have you guys on. Hey, we'll start with you, Teanau. What do you make of the New Zealand government's decision not to send any ministers to the Cook Islands Constitution celebrations?
Well, my first thought was, well, if they don't want to go, they should send me. I'll go there and have a chat with our people. I don't think it's a good precedent. I mean, it's an incredibly important relationship. We're looking at commemorating 60 years of diplomatic relations in the sphere as well. So I think that's disappointing. I think we've got to focus here on the pathway forward. There has to be a way for the two governments to sit down and have a discussion and find a diplomatic way forward. And that's what I think the focus that's what the focus should be. Were there opportunities before the commemoration to do that? Probably. But here we are at this particular point in time, and I don't think it's a good look.
Now, Angie, I just want to get your views on this. Why has it come to this point? New Zealand doesn't seem to be acting in what you could say a very Pacific way.
I think Teanau probably hit the nail on the head with that in terms of what we need to do from here. It is a pathway forward, but I think we kind of have to look at it in perspective, right? It's all about perspective. Cook Islands media is saying that the New Zealand is sending its highest officer to the Cook Islands to celebrate this milestone, right? And so you have many views about why the New Zealand government isn't sending anyone, but there have been opportunities, from my view, to resolve these matters. And the bottom line is that matters still need to be resolved. And so it's really important, I think, that we kind of put things into perspective. And there are several views on whether or not, or why the government aren't sending anyone this year.
Now, Teanau, the Governor-General, Cindy Kiro, will be there. Isn't that sufficient representation from Aotearoa?
I think it's good to have the Governor-General there, and I'd quite like to go Dame Cindy Kiro as well. She does really well in that role. But this is like a government-to-government thing as well. And I mean, if it was a parliament-to-parliament thing, then folks like myself in the opposition could go along and celebrate with our people. But there's no pretending that there isn't a diplomatic conflict happening here as well. So yeah, I mean, I think we do have to chart a pathway forward, but also understanding everything that's happened as well. I know many of our people back home in the islands are really upset when they found out about the deal with China. Well, those of us that live here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, saw that they had a big protest over there. And big protests are not something that happen in the Cook Islands very often as well. So there is a point there around transparency. And this is just me as a politician, as an MP. You've always really got to be able to take people along with you. And I think the government of the Cook Islands is learning that at this time.
Angie, what message does the government's absence send to Cook Islanders living at home and here in Aotearoa, such as yourself in Teanau?
I think it ultimately speaks to the importance of those two relationships, right? We can say that the absence means that there is something going on, and there is, as Teanau has spoken about, but that relationship with the Cook Islands is important. And Teanau also talked about that protest that happened in front of Parliament in Rarotonga. So it's a really important issue. people value their relationship. This free association that the Cook Islands are able to have with New Zealand is of value to them. But that's all we can really say.
Teanau, same question for you, but I'm also interested in what message this sends to the rest of the Pacific about how New Zealand conducts itself regarding its relationships in the region.
I don't think it sends a good message. I didn't like the unilateral freeze on public funding. I know that that would impact schools, hospitals, and health services. So I don't think that was a good move. Yes, they're having a conflict with the government, but by doing that, you actually end up punishing the people, which sends, I think, the wrong message. And also because the elephant in the room that everybody knows about is that China is growing growing in prominence within the Pacific as well. We just sort of see that the USA, the sticks and left the Pacific. It's a lottery. Either any other day whether Trump is going to hit your country with tariffs. Apparently we missed out at the last time, so we're not going to be hit with the same tariff rate. But you look at long-standing allies of theirs who depend on their security on the US, like Japan and South Korea, they're hit by 26%. And so what I see is New Zealanders continuing to hitch our wagon to the US, and with that support disappearing, folks around the Pacific, they're looking to other development partners, and China is the one who's first in line. So how do you manage that tension? I don't think by cutting the public funding that you do that. You find a way, first of all, to sit down and have a sit down. And I think there's an argument there that it should be handled prime minister to prime minister as well, because of the prominence of it. Just actually get over the diplomatic situation that we find ourselves in, just to actually chart that way forward. But this is the context that we're in. The political game since the Trump administration got into office has changed the world, but also us here in the Pacific.
Angie, if you were advising our Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister, would you be asking them to reconsider their decision? Surely it's not too late to reverse their decision?
Ultimately, we do want some kind of presence there in the Cook Islands, right? And so we've got multiple things happening at the same time. I think it is still. I agree with what the Cook Island media are saying in terms of New Zealand setting its highest office, but in terms of the timeline, right? You have the Cook Islands pursue a China deal. Then you have New Zealand, or attempts by New Zealand to speak to the Cook Islands, and then a freeze on or suspension on this $80 million budget. And so, my advice is that there needs to be some kind of presence. This is a huge celebration, and it happens quite often in the Cook Islands and also now here in New Zealand. But there is no doubt that we need some kind of presence by New Zealand there.
And now, Teanau, only last week the New Zealand government said they were still working out who to send. Do you think something more serious may have happened in the meantime between the Cook Islands and New Zealand to change that?
That is an interesting question. I actually don't know the answer to that. The situation has been deteriorating for a while, and you can see it playing out in the media. We're part of that. We're having this discussion in the media, so it makes it difficult to make have those diplomatic conversations, which are actually really, really essential to moving things forward. So maybe something happened. I think it's been spiraling for a while, and I think the point is to actually how do we stop that spiral from happening, because there's a lot of concerns from folks back at home, but also here in New Zealand. What is the impact of this? Will the situation get worse? I hope not. We've got to find a way to actually have those good conversations, because there's a lot of things of concern and with this deal. And for me, from the Greens, right, we don't care who does it, deep sea mining, we're opposed to it because it's bad for the environment. So there are immediate alarm bells for me when I heard details about this deal with China as well, and deep sea mining aspect was the most prominent one for me at that particular point in time. But those issues aside, you've got to find a pathway forward. If it has to be made, and I don't know what are the diplomatics efforts that are being made on the Cook Islands side, but also that needs to be happening on our side as well. Otherwise, you just push people further apart. We pushed countries further apart. This is actually supposed to be about celebrating the 60th anniversary of the relationship between Cook Islands and New Zealand. We're supposed to be celebrating, not lamenting the fact that our two governments can't get their act together. And so I think it would be in the interest of everybody, particularly back at home, that something has worked out here.
Now, Angie, you talked about finding a way forward, but is this the beginning of the end of the Cook Islands' free association relationship with New Zealand?
No, I mean there is time to have those conversations for those talks to occur. Winston Peters, the Honourable Winston Peters, has also spoken openly about that in terms of what the Cook Islands could also do, of taking concrete steps. I think from what he said to restore that relationship and trust, and so there is an opportunity there for both countries, and like I said, it's the relationship between the two are valued both ways.
And Teanau, same question, and any other final thoughts? I'm guessing by what you said earlier that you won't be going yourself?
No one has invited me, unfortunately. Maybe when Angie talks to Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, she must have sent me in here. So no invite has arrived in my email box, unfortunately. But of course, like all Cook Islanders here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, always would love an opportunity to go and see my relations. My oldest kid lives over there too, so that would be great.
And what about you, Angie? Any final comments from you?
No final comments. Thanks, Ala.
Mei taki mata, that was Green MP Teanau Tuiono and former National Party candidate Angie Nicholas. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Mei taki rā nui, thanks, Sam.
Now, if you missed